Hey Doug, how are you doing?
Good, Deb. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. It's nice to see you on Zoom and YouTube.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be back at the desk.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I don't know if you saw it in our little group chat, but Brendan asked a question on Friday, and it was after you had set up your Bitcoin. I think it was Friday that we did the Bitcoin pullback
Hmm.
grid. It was right after that he asked a question, and he hadn't seen our live.
Ah,
So he said, "What do you think Bitcoin will what do you think? Will Bitcoin retest 57,000 before it gets to 67,000?" And I came back with, because I would just looked at it with you and I had noticed
hmm.
that it was holding steady at that barrier and it had bounced back from it three times prior with only one time where it dropped down to 57. And so I said, even though you had come on that morning and you set up a pullback grid at
Hmm.
market price, I said I would wait. I would wait until it drops down to 57, 274, and then watch it to see if intervention needed to be made to get in. And Brendan came back this morning and he said he agreed. He can see that there's a key battle for control. And if the buyers win, he feels that it would likely be heading to 67,000. Otherwise, 57. But then he picked a different piece of 57 and caught me that I wasn't looking at the daily before making my
Ah,
final decision, which I felt pretty good about. But
right.
what I noticed then, I went and looked at your grid from Friday, and I had to tell Brendan that actually you appear to be the winner because on Friday you just decided to jump in at market and you didn't think about waiting for a $57,000 pullback or anything else. You just jumped in, and your position right now, I don't know if you've looked, it's about 3.5% in profit. So nicely done, Doug.
Winner, winner, right?
How is it that you won? Why are you the winner in that? Well, you're always the winner, but you decided to jump in at market instead of thinking about the deeper pullback. So can we talk about that for a minute?
Well, yeah, and you guys ultimately may end up being the winners, ultimately. And let me hang on. Let me get Bitcoin up here. Okay, I
Sure.
got, I got, I got, okay, I got Bitcoin up. Let me share my screen.
While you're sharing your screen, I want to remind everybody that we are not financial advisors, obviously, and take everything that we say with a grain of salt. You've got to do your own research. We're here to teach you how to do that research. Really, this is for education purposes only, and we're just excited that you're here.
Right. Absolutely. So I think let's let's start where you guys were at. Let me go to the daily, okay? And you guys are looking down between 58 and 57, and that really is obviously the body low of the daily. And I'm on Hakanashi again. If I go to regular candles, it's kind of jagged, but it's the same place. Go back to Hakanashi. It's about 58.37 with wick low down to almost 56,999. Okay, so that range is obviously a very significant barrier to me. You know, we've on the daily we already had tremendous pressure up. We actually closed above the prior daily Hakanashi, the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that, right? When when I began to look at, and we actually broke the prior low, this low, we tested up. This is the candle that broke that low. Okay. We've already retested above that candle. To me, that's that's signifying, right? There's some up pressure in play, right? We've already defined that in this. Now again, to the to the downside, I would really want to take this candle out of the equation before I would really want to say that I'm reestablishing down pressure. This is showing kind of a a sideways or potential struggle between buyers and sellers for sure, because this is the last candle. I failed to make any new high. I got this candle and I've tested below it. But this is the main candle for me to tell me if I'm going to get back down to here, and we're not there yet. So there's other things that were in play for me, and I look at ranges when I think about that. And in some cases, Deb, you're just lucky sometimes, right? But the bottom line is, when I say lucky, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in Bitcoin, and I was willing to use our money management if I was wrong.
Right.
So I'm completely empowered with making the decision. As long as I don't overtrade, I'm completely empowered to make the decision. And how aggressive do I want to be? Now, some coins, you and Brendan are absolutely right. There's some coins that I don't want to be aggressive with at all. And so either the market comes to me or it doesn't. And again, I don't care, because I'm willing to be patient and have my trade, come to me and set up the way I want it to set up instead of being aggressive. Now, with Bitcoin, though, that's a different story, right? There's some big players in Bitcoin now. And now I have to maybe be more aggressive at getting in. Now, when I say you and Brendan may still be right, we still haven't closed above this prior high, right? We've closed in, yeah, we haven't even closed it totally into the wick territory here, right? We're closed right on. So this barrier may hold, it may come back down. I'm not willing to sell at 3.5% and take that, because I want to be in this game. So either this trade is going to break up and we're going to go back to 67 or so and I'll make some profit, or it's going to roll over and come down and I'm going to cost average in or get my second trade in and have more accumulated. Either way, I'm okay. And if I were to be really honest, is I really wouldn't mind if it rolls over and comes down and I give up this 3.5%.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm not in this game for 3.5%.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
really wouldn't mind, yeah, I could close out, but then I take the risk, it breaks up and I got to get back in. Again, I've determined I'm not in the game for 3.5%. So if it rolls over, comes down, to me, that gives me the ability to accumulate more Bitcoin before it takes off and runs, right? And
Right.
so I would be completely happy with that. But let's look at some of the other thoughts that came into play when I looked at this range, right? In fact, let me see if I do. I have BTC here. Okay. Okay, let me bring that up. When I was down in this range, I'm looking at the major buy volume that's happening in the bottom of the candles. Okay. And this is on hourly. And in the very bottom of the candles, anytime I see the buyers coming in and defending this at the bottom, it's usually a pretty good place to take a risk, right? The other thing that made it kind of interesting for me, again, for this little bounce, again, hopefully it whatever it does, again, either way, I'm okay. Okay. But I look at the range of the movement also. So when we talk about the psychology of the market, we talk about, range of movement when people are going to make similar or same type of actions or response. And I usually do 3 different ranges that I like to look at whenever I'm to try to determine where I am with any particular action. Okay. So I look for a very large range. sometimes if it's too large, I look for something that is not the exception, but more the standard. And I look at from where it breaks, the last pullback to where it breaks. And then I begin to say, okay, within the psychology of the market, where am I at? Okay. Am I in this big range? Nope. Am I in the little range? Nope. Am I kind of in this middle range, right? Where it breaks down? Kind of got below that a little bit, but when I looked at the buyers coming in, and again, this is not exact, this one here, I can see where they match. This one, I go match, 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 a little extended, but it's not this bigger
Not
range
quite as
here.
far as that first
Yeah,
one.
and it's not this big range, but
Sure.
the buyers were coming in. I could also see that, I had some high volume here, usually signs of exhaustion, and that exhaustion was supported by the buyers coming in at the bottom. Okay. So again, does that make it worth me taking the risk? Well, if I want to be in, yeah, it does. It makes it worth me going, okay, I'm kind of extended in the range. I see the buyers coming in. And if it goes deeper, I'm willing to use our money management to get more. And that statement right there is the most empowering statement in trading that you'll ever have. Is that you want to get more, right? And if it goes deeper, you're empowered to get more.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was at, and that's why I made that decision.
I love it. And one of the things that really stands out here is our money management that we've put into the system. You're not going to get stuck in a trade, right? And it may
Right.
take time, but you're not going to get stuck in the trade. The other thing is we don't trade leverage, which means it's 1-to-1. As long as you're not as long as you're not throwing it all in on your first trade, you're going to be able to work with the money management, right?
Correct.
So if you were using a different platform, out of curiosity, if you were using a different platform, and let's say your trade was going to be, you're back in the game where you're trading, lots of people's money. Your, your trade is, let's say, $25,000 on one trade without the tools that we have set up right here. How would you be feeling in this moment?
Well, you mean at the moment that I took the trade,
Mm,
or at the moment
first,
that I am right here?
sure. Would you have, that's good. I'm glad you said that. Would you have got in at market in that moment? And probably 25,000 is not enough for me to really get you
Yeah,
nervous because you
right.
were trading millions. But
Yeah.
and then second question, being 3.5% in profit, what would your thinking be there?
Yeah. So, back in the day, we're trading in and out all the time. Brendan and I used to stay up 24 hours some days, if the market was really moving, and, be in trades as much as $10 million. So when you're in that kind of trade, then 3.5% is a good move. It's a different move. So you're trading differently. But if I were trading $1 million account, I wouldn't trade. So there's two questions here for me. If I didn't have the tools that I have today, would I trade it? Would have I traded it the same? It would have been really difficult, because then I go back to that having to watch it. And I had alarms set up on the charts and all of those kind of things, and they would wake me up in the middle of the night, and I'd rub my eyes and have to go look at the charts and make a decision and stuff. It was very difficult trading, right? And the decision that I would make would be based on how I would have to manage that trade. And that's why we really built the tools that we built, because that's not an enjoyable lifestyle. And it's not an easy lifestyle on you or your family or the person that's sleeping next to you. whoever that is, because your alarms are going off. You ding, 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 and you're waking up to go look at. And so it makes it very difficult. So then, you find yourself missing a lot of trades that you go, God, I just wish I had taken that trade, right? But you make a bad decision because of your inability to manage time and manage market. And it makes it really hard, Deb. So back in the day, with that strong down, like I saw, the strong down, even though it showed, potential exhaustion, I probably would have waited. I would have been like you and Brendan. I would have said, hang on, I'm going to wait for it to go to the deeper barrier. And if it doesn't go to the deeper barrier, I'm going to miss the trade. Well, maybe I would have missed the trade, right? And I find people doing that, and they do it. And unfortunately, this really sets up a cascade of problems, Deb, because as soon as I was at this point and I'm looking at it going, I really want to be in this trade. I really want to be in Bitcoin, but I'm not going to be in it. And this is what people do. And this is what why people lose at trading, right? Is they don't pull the trigger here. Then they go, oh, I knew it was going to go up. Well, I didn't know it was going to go up, and they don't know it's going to go up, but they say it after the fact, and it's really easy to say after the fact. So now what they end up doing is chasing the trade.
Yes.
And they'll get in up here and go, okay, I know it's going to break. I know it's going to break. And now you and Brendan are going to be right. And maybe it's going to go down to 57. And now they're in completely at the wrong place because they chased. So back in the day, I probably wouldn't have taken the trade because I didn't have the ability to manage it. The size of the trade wouldn't have mattered because I would have done the size of the trade appropriate to the account. Size, it's not about, the size of the trade. It's about the percentage of the trade to the overall size of the account. And everything should stay the same, whether I'm trading a $10,000 account or a $10 million account. Ratios should stay the same, and there should be no difference in the emotion between trading a $10 million account and a $10,000 account.
Love it.
Okay.
Two things. I love your answers, and I love the fact that you went through that right now, because those are the key issues, the key problems that traders deal with, our traders deal with too, right? I call it, jump rope when you're doing double dutch, right? And you're trying to determine when to get in there. Like
Right.
a lot of times you'll stay on the outside for a long time, just trying to time it. And you get in there, and you'll find these charts. If you're trading when you're trading crypto or anything, you're gonna want to look at that chart and make sure that it has ups and it has downs and it has ups and it has downs. You want something that is a roller coaster.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no trading going on. You're buying and holding because it doesn't come back, or you bought and it dumped and it's not coming back. Like, you want it to go up and down, right? But trying to time where to get in can be a big problem, especially when you put way too much emotion into it and you think you're going to lose when you jump in. But and this is why I asked that question, with our money management tools, you don't have to stress about it.
Right.
You don't have to stay up all night day trading because you did that in the past. So you built the tools to be able to manage that. That is money management. So I love that answer. And then the second one that was so important was, it doesn't matter how much you're trading. Guys, don't hear that wrong. Do not trade with money that you can't afford to lose. Do not go in too deep on your first trade. But it doesn't matter how much you're trading. What matters is the percentages that you're able to get out, right? And then because 5% on $50 it is also 5% on $5,000,
Correct.
right? So it's
Correct.
still 5%.
But the $5,000 trade, Deb, let's say $50 trade is, for example, let's say it's 1% of the account. You're going with $50. Well, the $5,000 trade should also just be 1% of the account.
Yes.
So,
Good point.
so I'm not, I'm not, I'm not taking a $5,000 trade, which is 50% of my account,
Yeah, good
to try
point.
to make 5% on 5,000. And that's
Yes.
what most people do. They take big risks on their trades, right? They they don't ever have the money in storage, right? To allow the market to come to them and allow it to go deeper and allow them to be able to cost average correctly. They
Right.
they're in way at the top with that $5,000, and that's half their account. Now they're in trouble,
Now
right?
they're stuck.
So now if I was trading a $10 million account, my first trade was $1 million, I'm in trouble, right? You can't do that. So it doesn't matter your account size. It always matters, your money management portions that you can, put into each trade.
What
That's the key.
percentage of your account are you trading,
Yeah.
and are you leaving enough of the percentage in reserve to
Yeah.
handle the money management piece? Yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
and I
Right.
can hear them all out there. They're going, okay, well, what is that percentage? What should I
Right.
do? How much, right? Well, if you watch what we do, we go through that. We go, okay, how many grid lines am I going to trade? How am I going to do my cost average? If I am I going to do 2 cost averages per grid line and then have some in reserve to add manual trades to it? All of that is just a formula, right? That tells you how much you're going to have into the trade before you ever get in. And you look at that number and you go, and we did this with some people back in the day, Deb, that were trading like 8 and 10 grid lines. And we said, okay, time you cost average all those grid lines, you're going to be $8,500 into this grid. Do you want to be that much into this grid? And they just, their jaws hit the desk, right? They go, I had no idea it'd be that much money into the grid. That's the key. How
Yeah.
many grid lines, how many cost averages, how many manuals are you willing to do? And then what is that number? And once you see that number, if that number is like $2,000 and you only have a $3,000 account and you're trading 5 grids, you can't do it,
It's
right?
not doable.
It's
Yeah.
not doable.
Because we don't foresee the coins that we're trading taking a big drop if we have our cost average set up at 15% per line,
Yeah.
right? And we've got multiple lines and multiple trades. We don't see 15% drop followed by a 15% drop followed by a 15. But guys,
It
it
happens.
happens.
It happens. It
It
happens.
happens.
Well,
We
and I'm kind of in that way with ALU right now.
Oh, ALU. Yeah, I wanted to talk about ALU a little bit. I don't know if we'll have time today, but uh I've got an ALU grid as well. And back in the day, man, I was feeling like it was, printing money. Past performance does not indicate future results. However, I did feel like I was printing money with ALU. I
Yeah.
don't feel that way now, and I'm trying to
Well,
figure out why.
this is a crack up, Deb, and maybe we can go over ALU on Wednesday a little bit.
Sure.
This is kind of a crack up because I wasn't trading ALU when you were printing money, right?
Uh-huh.
And so in this little demo account, I thought it would be great to, demo ALU, and I got into it because of you, right? So and this is another lesson, guys. You listen to people and you jump into things and do things. You still have to have your game plan, right? And so, ALUs, when you look at its value of what it does and stuff, and maybe we'll look at that on Wednesday. It's a potentially great coin, right? But
Yeah.
but what I saw when I looked at ALU, it's not quite responding with the resilience of this Bitcoin bounce. And other coins like Litecoin is, I think other coins are more representative of this bounce that we see in Bitcoin.
Mhm.
ALU is not doing that. So maybe, I know we've been on this for a while, but maybe on Wednesday, if ALU is still holding its down pressure, we'll go in and look at that, because I went into the large language model that we're looking at using as part of AI NSI. I went in and asked it some questions today about ALU, and it was very interesting, the response that it gave me. So let's see if what ALU does between now and Wednesday, Deb. And if it kind of holds this, then maybe we can talk about our AI and talk about maybe the answers that it gave, and see if it changes those answers between now and Wednesday, and see where we stand on the ALU on Wednesday.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great plan. I think it's a great plan. You know, I've got money management, but one of the things that we have to consider is I think I have, I don't know, 9 or 10 grids set up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
You're a big grid girl.
I'm a big grid girl. And once some of those coins started to drop and I was using the money management, maybe I got to the point where I started focusing on one grid instead of all grids. And
Right.
maybe I chose a different grid and not ALU. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll look at my grid as well and see if
Yeah.
maybe I
Well,
can get
and
a little
did
education
did
on.
you pause any of your ACAs on some of the grids so that you could focus?
I did. Yes, I paused
Yeah.
everything except for on one grid right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that one is looking pretty good.
Right.
I'm hoping something happens here in the next few days. I might be able to pop out of that grid, and then I'm going to start using that money
Yeah.
to manage another grid. Yeah.
Right. So there's, in the case where, and this is really what Deb's talking about, in the case where the mark, you may get overexcited in an up move, and you're making money, right? Up hundreds of percent in your account, and then the market rolls over, right? And we haven't seen a big rollover yet. I mean, this is, we're just taking this little breather, but yet you find yourself overextended a little bit. There's nothing wrong with using the money management, pausing some of the trades from taking any more, right? And if they really drop, once they're paused, if they really drop 30, 40, 50%, then you can do a manual on those and really take advantage of those big moves and do it on the grids that you want to do it on. So manage some of the grids, right, through money management back into a more profitable state, get that money back, and then go manage another grid. So, it's not always, and this is the most important thing, it's not always all or nothing. You choose, and you're empowered to choose. So, yeah, I think that was a really smart move, Deb.
Yeah, yeah, I think this was a great lesson. Guys, if you haven't looked into nSights, if you're looking at us for the first time, if somebody shared this with you, please find our Discord. I'll put the link on the, or actually, I think Candace is out there. If Candace could put the link to our Discord there, come join us in Discord, and then you have access to all of us. We talk about nSights being real people, real money, real trades. Um, and it is, and we're getting real results. That was the one I was missing. We're getting real results. We're also learning how to trade, guys. I had never traded anything except for, candy in my life. So Doug has taught me how to trade. It's a life skill that I get to keep for the rest of my life and use anywhere. And he's teaching how to trade. He's teaching all of our community how to trade through these calls, through our Saturday call. So please do reach out, get into our Discord, and get yourself an nSights platform that you can start trading your DeFi with. We'd love to see you there. Doug, thank you so much for today. It was an excellent
Yeah.
call.
Thank you, Deb. Appreciate it having everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday.